Hello, my name is Stephanie and I want to welcome you to Hollow Acres Homestead. So this will be the first video in a new series that I'm doing called The Urgency to Become Prepared. Now I have done extensive research and here on these papers I have typed out pretty much everything that I want to say because I don't want to miss anything and I don't want to give you the wrong information. It is no secret that things all around us have gotten pretty bad. In the last 2 years, we have endured a global pandemic, massive and extended food shortages, record high inflation on everything from gas to food, the health care needs, everything in between. Everything's more expensive. The start of a new war, famine, starvation, homelessness, extended labor shortages. I could keep going. I'm not going to keep going though. Before I go any further, I'm going to let you know now. This is not a happy fun time video. This is me seriously talking with you about the state in which we're living in, where things are headed, and how I am and how you can prepare for what is coming. Now, I am not trying to drive fear. That is not what this is about. I want to help you prepare for this because there's only one human race. We are the human race. And survival is what matters. I will be someone who will survive all of this, and I want to help you to be able to do that as well. So the height of the pandemic is down. It is now endemic and something that we're just going to have to live with, like the flu. Okay, so be it. Inflation rates have risen so dramatically, so quickly, and it is affecting the global economy. Not just the United States, it's global, guys. And to put a little cherry on the top of it, we are on the cusp of World War III. With Russia's invasion into Ukraine, trying to reenact the Soviet Union, everything that is going over there, China, Russia, Ukraine, we have allies, we have enemies. History is repeating itself. We are all seeing it, but this time it's going to be so much worse than what we've seen before, or what we've read about in the history books, because most of us alive, we've not seen this of what is going to happen, what's happening now. These are unprecedented times for a lot of people. Over the last 2 years, the government has paid out more than $6 trillion on COVID-related programs, more than $2 trillion on Social Security, $122 million on food stamps, more than $2.5 billion on unemployment. The list goes on. It keeps going. Millions here, billions here, millions there. So now the government, the banks, everyone who lost money during the pandemic for all the funds, all the stuff that went out, extended payment plans, things like that, well, now they want their money back. How are they doing that? Well, they've raised the taxes and the inflation rates are ridiculous. Interest rates are going up. The average mortgage bond right now is 6.2%. So 6.2%. I don't know how anyone can afford to buy a house right now. I really don't. Your gallon of milk is now almost $5 a gallon. A gallon of gas is $5. In California, it's upwards of $7 a gallon. And that is regular gas. We're not talking premium or diesel. That's regular gas. Meat prices have doubled in the last year. For example, a 4-pound bag of frozen chicken wings that I typically would buy from Walmart used to cost $7. A lot of wings, 4 pounds, that's good. That same bag now is $16. I'm not buying chicken wings anymore. Meat is now so expensive. Everything is so expensive. Nothing is affordable anymore. And worst of all, almost nothing is worth the prices that they are being sold for. And for me, that makes me not want to purchase quite a lot of things, like the chicken wings. If something is too expensive and I don't feel like it's worth it, I'm not going to buy it. It is so important to start preparing now for what is coming in the very near future. Foil hat warning. If I had a foil hat, I would put it on. The end is near. Prepare for the Armageddon. Only the strong will survive. Yes, that was dramatic and absolutely ridiculous. That's why I said foil hat warning. But seriously, we are way past the point of putting our heads in the sand and pretending like everything is okay, because it is not okay. And a lot of this stuff that I have more things to mention, but a lot of this, it's not on the news. Like, you have to actually look for these things to find what is really happening in the world, because the news, the media, they don't want to actually tell the people because it could invoke a panic. I get that. There's a lot of people and very small amount of government. But people need to know. People need to prepare. Without preparation, there will be panic. There will be chaos. Everything that we have experienced for the last 2 years is leading to something much bigger and much worse than we have ever seen. And guess what? It can get worse, and it's going to get worse. Is all hope gone? No, all hope isn't gone. Hope and faith are going to get you through what is coming. And I had this tattooed on my arms when I was 18 years old. Hold on, pain ends. Hope. You have to have hope for the future, because the worst of it will pass. Whatever it is, whether it's feelings, whether it's economic collapse, it will get better. It's just going to take some time. And faith, you have to have faith in yourself and what you're doing and whatever God it is that you believe in, because hope and faith is what is going to keep us going. It's the human spirit. Okay, I want to read again something from here. So for perspective between what is kind of happening now and what has happened in the past, let's do a little history lesson, shall we? Let's jump back more than 100 years. World War I was from July 28, 1914 to November 11, 1918. It was said that 8.5 million soldiers lost their life. Food was scarce. As the war came to an end and the Peace Treaty of Versailles was signed, the Spanish flu pandemic had already claimed tens of thousands of lives, if not more. From February 1918 to April 1920 was the Spanish flu pandemic. It infected 500 million people, and it is estimated that 17 million to 50 million people lost their lives. There are conflicting reports saying that upwards of 100 million people lost their lives due to the Spanish influenza pandemic. In this time, people masked up, they social distanced, they stayed away from each other, and millions of people were out of work. And now this is a time where the Industrial Revolution hasn't come around yet. There aren't these big factories full of people working. They didn't have that then. So their job was, they needed that to feed their families, to pay whatever bills they had. Of course, things were much cheaper then, but also so was the income in that time. They didn't have grocery stores like we do and the supersized supply chain that we do have now. Food in that time, it was scarce. If you didn't grow it or raise it, you didn't eat. So you would grow a whole season, put as much food away as you possibly could, and that is what you would live on throughout the winter. It was either grown in country or it was shipped overseas on large barge ships. And of course it was very expensive for them to do that. So they had to raise the prices. So there was the inflation. It was a different time back then, but it's not so different than what we are experiencing now. You see, history repeats itself. The Spanish flu changed life for everyone for 2 years. It finally passed and people started leaving their homes and returning back to work. Well, now there's a serious recession, or a mild depression. That went on from 1920 to 1923. When you think of the Great Depression, you don't really think early 20s. Right after the Spanish influenza pandemic, there was a recession, also a late depression. After 1923, the economy picked back up. The stock market went up, swing music, nightclubs, roaring 20s, all of that was born. Things were looking mostly good. Starting in August of 1929, the stock market began to dip. All throughout September, October, the stock market's dipping and dipping and dipping. People are pulling their money out. People are starting to save. There's the recession again. Wait for it. On what is known as Black Tuesday, October 29th, 1929, the stock market crashed. And there's the finger. It fell. It sent the global economy into a panic. Businesses and banks lost millions. Millions of people lost their jobs. The supply chain was affected because so many people lost their jobs. They didn't have people to deliver the goods and foods and things that they needed all around the country, all around the world. Stock market crash of 1929 started the global Great Depression. The Depression ended in 1939, and World War II starts in 1939, September 1939, and ends in 1945. Now, my point of this little brief history lesson is that there are patterns in history. There are cycles, and they are always repeated. The future can be predicted based on past events and current events. A spider bit me. Oh, my leg is burning. If you take some time to really dig into our history, the entire human race's history, you will start to see these patterns. It's just responsible to prepare for destruction or economic collapse. Not so much the zombie apocalypse because, you know, economic collapse is a thing that could actually happen. Now I'm gonna get a whole bunch of comments. Zombies can happen. Yeah, you're right, they can, but that's not what we're talking about here today. So let's talk about the supply chain really quickly. Did you know that a good majority of the products that are purchased in the United States are sent from overseas? I'm sure many of you do. The cost to hold and ship large storage containers across oceans or large cargo planes in the air, it's very expensive. It takes a lot of fuel to be able to deliver, and they have to have pilots or drivers or barge drivers. It's not right. Not only that, but there haven't been enough workers to transport all of the food and all of the products that are needed all over the world. Labor shortages play a very large part in the delays and the high prices that we are seeing. The supply chain is way larger than you might think that it is. Far too much to go into. You remember in 2020, 2021, and you know what, I've even still seen it, but there are mass shortages. Grocery stores don't have enough food to keep the shelves stocked, or if they do have enough food to keep the shelves stocked, the prices are so expensive that nobody's buying them, and that's why the shelves are stocked. Do you remember when there was a 2 to 4 week delay in shipping on anything that you ordered online? It's coming back, guys. Now let's specifically talk about the food chain instead of the entire supply chain. The farm. Farmers have to pay upfront for the seeds, the water, the fertilizers, the pest control, everything that they need to grow the food. And cattle farmers, same thing, chickens, turkeys, all the meat. They have to buy feed, they have to buy the birds, they have to make sure that all of those animals are healthy. If needed, they have to give them medicine. Point is, farmers have to pay all of that in advance. Then they sell what they grow from it or what they butcher. And because the prices have risen on everything, those farmers now have to raise their prices. So they have to charge extra and have the customer pay for that because they had to put that much into what they are selling. And since the prices on everything have risen, to cover the cost and make a profit, then some company, somebody picks up the food from the farmers, right? Which requires a truck driver, a large semi, which takes diesel fuel, and it has to be driven elsewhere. So we need workers, we need trucks, we need gas. Some things are then processed down, packaged up, resold. The cost of packaging and shipping have also gone up. Companies have to raise their prices in order to cover cost and make profit. And this just happens over and over again until that product makes its way to your house. We didn't even talk about like mail, USPS, UPS, FedEx. All of the prices on that have gone up also. Shipping has always been like, whoa, you know? But now it's like, no. On top of all of this, there was the Great Resignation of 2021, and it is affecting the inflation rates. There aren't enough workers to do their various jobs that support our economy. Everything we do, every job, everything we buy, sell, it affects the global economy. It's not just the United States. Everything, everywhere. It affects the economy. Fortunately, we are so far down the rabbit hole now that a bubble has formed. Bubble. And it is about to burst. You like my effects there? Do you remember the 2008 housing market crash? A lot of that is happening right now. The same things, the same leads ups. If you really want to learn more about it, I'm not going to go into that. You can research it. There's also so many movies that you can watch about the 2008 housing market crash. One of my favorite movies is The Big Short. So find it. I think it's on Netflix. I don't know. Give it a watch. See if you like it. It's going to open your mind. It will. There are other movies too, but off the top of my head, I can't quite think of any. Think about everything that I have said. It was a lot, I know. I just threw a whole lot of facts at you. A whole lot of everything. I get it. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. I know. But it is so important to learn about our history so that we can learn from our history. At some point, the human race is going to be like, oh, I guess we shouldn't repeat history. I guess that was a bad idea. Now, I am not a professional guesser, but I really think that we are heading for a very dark winter. Winter is coming. The Russian war right now is affecting gas, oil, wheat and byproduct production and distribution. The world is estimated to have only 6 weeks left of grain for the entire world. So wheat is typically harvested in the fall. So until fall, we have 6 weeks. Fall, wheat is harvested usually August, September, October. So it's going to take a while to get that processed, shipped out, dispersed, you know? Come August or September, I honestly believe that there are going to be riots in the street. There is going to be chaos. There will be looting and famine and homelessness to levels that we may have never seen before. People are going to panic, especially the people who have not prepared. Desperate people do desperate things. Now, this major global depression could last 4 years, 5 years, 8 years. I think maybe not, but there is the possibility of that happening. I'm not smiling at you. I realize this is depressing. My husband's being silly in the background. And I forgot about global warming. How could I forget about global warming? It is not a myth. It is real. It is a real thing, and it's really happening. Do you feel how hot it is? Very soon, it's going to be so hard for people to be able to afford essential things that they are going to go steal them, or they're going to go rob people. I mean, like I said, desperate people do desperate things. Did you know that the US dollar is not even worth $1 anymore? So in this coming time in the future, money isn't going to get you very far. What will get you very far is bartering. Gold, chickens, believe it or not. There's countless things you could barter for. It is going to get pretty bad pretty quickly, but try not to let fear drive you into debt. Now is not the time to rack up all of the credit card bills. They're not going to be forgiven. You're just going to have higher interest rates and have to pay back, if not almost double. Borrow $100, pay back $100. So it's $200 you have to pay them. First you have to pay your thing, then you have to pay the interest, and that's insane. Now is not the time to rack up on debt. Now is the time to pay off your debt. So what can we do to prepare for all the doom and gloom that is coming our way? There are 5 things that you can start doing now to prepare. Number 1, pay off or pay on your debt a little at a time. Get it paid off before things spike too much to where you cannot afford them. There's so much noise, I'm sorry. Number 2, stock up on essentials. Food, water, toiletries, medical supplies. Things that you typically need and use throughout the year. That was number 3. Grow a garden. Plant fruit trees, plant nut trees. Learn how to process food for long-term storage. Number 4, conserve energy. Check your generator, make sure it works. If you don't have one, consider maybe getting a generator. With the rising energy costs, many Americans are behind on their energy bills. They can't afford to pay them. So if the power goes out, you need light, you need a way to cook your food, and you need a way to keep your food cold. And number 5, stay calm. It is so easy to get swept up in all of the fear. In fact, I impulse bought a whole bunch of grain, filled up 6 5-gallon buckets. Something I should have done a while ago, but whenever I saw, it was 2-3 weeks ago, whenever I saw that there were the big shortages, I went ahead and I stocked up. And I feel like that was a very smart impulse buy. Stock up. Prepare. Prepare at least a year's worth of food for your family. So I am stocked for 6 to 8 months. I am focusing on trying to get to a year. Panic and fear can set in so very quickly, but try to remember that you are strong and you can get through this. You can handle all of this. Now, there are many homesteading and prepping channels on YouTube that I watch. I also read a lot of books. So pick up books, read articles, read blogs, watch YouTubers. Make it a goal every week to do better than you did last week. If you want to learn from other preppers and homesteaders and farmers, I strongly encourage you to do so. There are 5, I watch a lot, but there are 5 specifically that I watch religiously. And I love the information and the knowledge that they share. I will leave the links in the description below. In no particular order, there's Appalachia's Homestead, The Economic Ninja, City Prepping, The Canadian Prepper, Roots and Refuge Farm, and Whispering Willow Farm. You know what? That might be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is 6. There's 6. Roots and Refuge and Whispering Willow, even Appalachia's Homestead. They teach you how to grow food, how to prepare food. And then there's The Economic Ninja, which is financing, and He's just pretty much preparing you for what is coming. The Canadian prepper also. These people, they really do their research. They're not just giving you a whole bunch of bogus crap and expecting you to follow. So I really enjoy watching their channels. I learn a lot from them. It also helps me with my mindset, you know? You need to know what's going on. You cannot be blindsided by everything going on. You cannot keep your head in the sand anymore. It is time to wake up. Do you want to know how you can prepare for all the doom and gloom heading your way? I have a video coming out just for that. You can click the card here or look in the link in the description below. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be posting more videos on preparedness and things like this. Also, I want to teach you how to grow a garden. We'll see you next time here on Hollow Acres Homestead.